Hi, Claire. I wanted to leave you some feedback on Essay 2. I think that you are bringing in some good points on the essays that we read for this unit, um, along with some of your personal experience. I do think that this submission could use another round of revision, and so what I'd like to do is talk about why that is. So you start off with your thesis as the opening line. And while you can do that, academic readers prefer the thesis to be at the end of the introduction. So what you want to do is create context that leads the reader to um, to the uh, to the thesis. And so this introduction needs some work because there's some good ideas here, but they don't quite connect together. Meaning, you present this idea, this definition as your thesis, um, but then the sentences that follow read like separate ideas. They don't really read like sentences that are in support of the thesis. In addition, the thesis itself, I think, needs a little bit of tweaking. So you say, I define education as the learning and gaining of skills and knowledge because without those, education wouldn't be important. I'm not sure that I follow you here on your reason. I think that you could define education as gaining skills and knowledge. I think you're being repetitive here. I would choose one over the other. Um, but I'm not sure I follow you here. I'm not sure that this is a reason. I think that I think that the fact that education is important is implied in the claim. So this, in short, this thesis needs some tweaking. So perhaps, yeah, I'm not quite sure. And perhaps you could argue that it's the gaining of knowledge and skills that lead to a specific outcome, right? And then maybe you're identifying what that outcome is. Um, I think that would be clearer than what you've done here. This sentence here, the ideas are all too broad for me to fully understand what you're saying here. So I recommend narrowing this down and being more concrete. Um, Also be certain to edit for commas in your introductory phrases. So when you say, when I think of education, you need a comma here. I define it as the learning of skills. When it comes to education, comma, it can be given in many ways and forms. So you need to edit for commas in your introductory phrases. I think that there's some good ideas in this paragraph, but I don't get a clear sense of organization. Um, So if you say that it's skills and knowledge, I can see that you are talking about literacy, and I think you bring up research at one point, but it's difficult for me to follow exactly what skills and knowledge you're exploring here, right? So you start off with this like really broad idea. Um, so I think the better thing for you to do is to try to illustrate what skills and knowledge are important and why. You're bringing in some good ideas or some fair critiques about Gatto. But before you disagree with Gatto, you need to first summarize his main idea, right? So the first time you bring an article into your paper, you need to create a signal phrase, which you've done here, but you then need to objectively summarize the overarching main idea. So what you're doing here is just bringing in the minor points as evidence, which is fine to do, but before you do that, you have to objectively capture the overarching idea, because that just builds ethos. That just builds ethos with the speaker. I'm I'm not sure I follow you here. The moment where he says school systems are biased in their teaching. So I think concrete evidence would be helpful here, because I'm not sure he makes this argument. I could be wrong, and I could be misremembering the article, but I would like some concrete evidence to support that that idea. Also, make sure that you're editing for sentence fragments. So yeah, I mean, and I think that if he does say that, make sure that you do have evidence to support it, and you're fully exploring the idea. It feels like you're being a little bit broad here. Yeah, and these two right here are two really good ideas for you to explore, but they kind of don't go anywhere. So really, I wish that you would have expanded these two ideas in response to Gatto in their own paragraphs. I you present the idea that you agreed with Bambara, but I think a stronger way to transition here is to go back to the ideas that you're presenting in your thesis. And again, with Bambara, you need to capture the summary. So you're capturing a plot point, but you're not capturing the overarching main idea. And you bring up the underlying message like you're suggesting it, but you need to get it explicitly on the page, right? So yeah, this is something that occurs, but why the kids aren't interested in learning in the first place, and how and why Miss Moore pushes beyond that. So really, what the lesson is important to pinpoint here. Indeed. Yeah. Yeah, and so what are the skills and ideas that they really learned? And that's pivotal to that story, right? Skills, yeah, kind of, but really it's about the ideas, how she shaped their personhood. So you have some summary points here, but extend beyond summary to include a call to action or implications. So yeah, I think that there are some good ideas here, but as a whole, the essay feels a little fragmented, meaning that there's good ideas on the individual level, but it's not reading like a cohesive thesis yet. And I think the main issue cohesive essay. The main issue is in the thesis itself. Finally, be certain to arrange your sources in alphabetical order. So I think that this would be a good essay to go ahead and revise. What I would focus on is a clear thesis, a stronger sense of organization, those clear summaries, and then editing for sentence fragments as well. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.